Imagine standing at the edge of something great, something meaningful, something life-changing. You know it's the right thing to do. You know it will push you forward. But there's just one problem. It's hard. See, as human beings, we are wired for comfort. We seek security, predictability, and the path of least resistance. It's a survival instinct. But growth, real transformative growth, demands that we do the opposite. It requires that we step into uncertainty, face our fears, and embrace discomfort. The hardest thing you can do isn't just about effort, it's about courage. It's about doing what most people avoid. It's about choosing long-term fulfillment over short-term ease. Because the truth is, the hardest thing is often the right thing. Discomfort is something we instinctively avoid. From the moment we are born, we seek warmth, security, and ease. It's wired into our biology to move toward comfort and away from pain. But in doing so, we often miss out on the very experiences that shape us into who we are meant to be. Growth does not come from staying where it's safe. It comes from pushing past limits, facing uncertainty, and doing what feels uncomfortable. Think about any major breakthrough in life. Whether it's learning a new skill, stepping into a leadership role, or building something meaningful, there is always a period of struggle. The early days of learning are frustrating. The first steps feel awkward, the results don't come as quickly as we hope, and this is where most people stop. They mistake discomfort for a sign that they're not meant for it, that it's not working, or that they should turn back. But the reality is, discomfort is not a signal to quit, it's a sign that you're on the right path. People who achieve great things have one common trait. They don't run from discomfort. Instead, they lean into it. They understand that every challenge, every obstacle, every difficult moment is an opportunity to grow. It's like lifting weights. If you never push your muscles beyond what they're used to, they never get stronger. If you never stretch beyond what feels easy, you never expand your capabilities. The truth is, the body and mind are incredibly adaptable. What feels hard today will feel natural tomorrow if you keep going. The first time you try something new, your brain resists because it prefers familiarity. But the more you push through, the more your mind rewires itself to handle the new level of challenge. Growth is nothing more than the process of adaptation through discomfort. There's a reason why the most successful people in any field have a history of struggle. They weren't born resilient, disciplined, or skilled. They became that way by facing discomfort repeatedly. Athletes push through fatigue, entrepreneurs take risks despite uncertainty, and leaders make tough decisions even when they're afraid. They don't wait until it's easy. They take action despite the difficulty. The problem is most people want results without the struggle. They want to be fit without the workouts. They want success without the long nights and sacrifices. And they want confidence without facing rejection. But it doesn't work that way. Everything worth having comes with a price, and that price is discomfort. The people who understand this are the ones who rise above the rest. Look at anyone who has mastered a skill or achieved something remarkable. At some point, they faced a moment where they wanted to give up. Maybe it was too hard. Maybe they felt like they weren't good enough. Or maybe they doubted if it was even worth it. But instead of quitting, they made a decision to push through. And that's the moment when transformation happens. Not when things are easy, but when things are tough and you choose to keep going anyway. One of the biggest lessons in life is realizing that discomfort is temporary, but the growth it brings is permanent. The pain of discipline lasts for a moment, but the rewards last a lifetime. And if you can train yourself to embrace discomfort instead of avoiding it, you unlock a whole new level of potential. Fear is one of the most powerful forces that influence human behavior. It has kept us alive for thousands of years, helping us avoid danger and make decisions that ensure survival. But in today's world, fear is often misplaced. It no longer just protects us from physical threats, it holds us back from growth, change, and opportunities that could transform our lives. Instead of guiding us, fear imprisons us. Instead of helping us, it limits us. But what if fear wasn't something to avoid? What if fear was actually a signpost pointing us in the right direction? Every time you feel fear, it means you are standing at the edge of something bigger than yourself. Fear arises when you are about to do something meaningful, something uncertain, something that requires courage. It shows up before a big decision, before taking a risk, before stepping into the unknown. But most people misinterpret fear. They see it as a warning to stop, to turn around, to go back to what is safe. And so they retreat. They stay where it's comfortable, where they know the outcome, where they don't have to feel that rush of anxiety that comes with uncertainty. But what if fear was actually an indicator of where you should go? What if the very thing you are afraid to do is the thing that will help you grow the most? The people who achieve greatness are not fearless. They feel fear just like everyone else, but they don't let it dictate their actions. Instead of avoiding what scares them, they lean into it. They recognize that fear is often a sign that something important is at stake. They understand that on the other side of fear is where true transformation happens. Think about a time in your life when you were scared to do something but did it anyway. Maybe it was speaking in front of an audience, making a difficult decision, or stepping into an unfamiliar situation. At first, the fear felt overwhelming. Your heart raced, your hands shook, your mind filled with doubt. But once you moved through it, once you took that first step, everything changed. The fear that once felt paralyzing became manageable. The thing that seemed impossible became something you conquered. And in that moment, you grew. The mind plays tricks on us. It convinces us that fear means danger, that discomfort means we should stop. But most of the time, fear is just a byproduct of uncertainty. It's not a signal to stop. It's a signal that you are about to grow. The more you expose yourself to what scares you, the more resilient you become. Over time, fear loses its power. The things that once terrified you become, the situations that once seemed impossible become second nature. Look at any successful person, and you'll see a history of moments where they acted in spite of fear. Entrepreneurs take the leap into business without knowing if they will succeed. Athletes push their bodies beyond what feels possible. Leaders make decisions without having all the answers. What separates them from everyone else is not that they don't feel fear, it's that they don't let fear stop them. They use fear as fuel, as a sign that they are moving in the right direction. Most people let fear make their choices for them. They stay in jobs they hate because they're afraid of the unknown. They avoid speaking up because they're afraid of judgment. They settle for less because they're afraid to fail. But fear should never be the reason you don't do something. Fear should be the reason you do, because the moment you step through fear, you step into a new version of yourself, the version that is stronger, braver, and capable of more than you ever imagined. In a world that values instant gratification, the idea of enduring short-term pain for long-term gain is often overlooked. People want results now. They want the rewards without the struggle, the success without the sacrifice, the achievement without the effort. But the reality is, nothing of true value comes easily. Everything worthwhile requires a period of discomfort, a season of discipline, and the willingness to push through temporary hardship in order to reach something greater on the other side. When most people face difficulty, their instinct is to avoid it. They want a shortcut, a way around the pain, an easier path. But what they fail to realize is that the struggle itself is the process of becoming better. Growth doesn't happen when things are easy. Strength isn't built in moments of comfort. Progress is not made in the absence of challenge. It is through struggle, persistence, and overcoming obstacles that true success is earned. Consider the process of building muscle. When you lift weights, you are literally tearing down muscle fibers. In the moment, it's painful. Your body aches, your muscles burn, and your energy depletes. But what happens afterward? Your body repairs itself, and in doing so, your muscles grow back stronger. The discomfort you experienced wasn't a punishment. It was the very thing that led to growth. The same principle applies to life. The challenges you face, the moments of exhaustion, the setbacks, and the disappointments are not signs that you are failing. They are proof that you are in the process of becoming stronger. The difference between those who succeed and those who don't is not talent, intelligence, or luck. It's the willingness to endure the process. The people who achieve greatness are the ones who accept that pain is part of the journey. They don't run from it. They don't complain about it. They don't look for an escape. They embrace it because they understand that what they want is on the other side of temporary discomfort. Most people quit when things get hard. They stop when they feel tired. They walk away when the results don't come fast enough. But the truth is, success is not about working when you feel like it. It's about showing up even when you don't. It's about pushing through the days when you want to give up. It's about making sacrifices that others aren't willing to make. Because while most people are looking for the easy way out, the ones who are willing to endure are the ones who rise to the top. The reason why long-term gain is so valuable is because so few people are willing to put in the time and effort it takes to earn it. Most people settle for quick wins and short-lived pleasures, but those who are truly successful understand that patience and persistence are the real keys to lasting achievement. They are willing to invest time, energy, and effort into something that may not pay off immediately, but will eventually lead to something far greater than they ever imagined. Pain and discomfort are temporary, but the rewards of perseverance last a lifetime. The discipline to push through, the resilience to keep going, and the strength to endure hardship all contribute to something far greater than just the immediate moment. They shape character, build mental toughness, and create a foundation for success that cannot be shaken by momentary setbacks. Every time you choose short-term comfort over long-term gain, you trade your future potential for temporary relief. Every time you avoid struggle, you deny yourself the opportunity to grow. Every time you quit because something is hard, you reinforce the habit of giving up. But every time you push through, every time you stay disciplined, every time you choose effort over ease, you set yourself apart from those who never reach their full potential. The choice between short-term pain and long-term gain is always there, and the decision you make determines the future you create. Your mind is the most powerful tool you have. It determines how far you go, what you achieve, and whether you push past obstacles or let them stop you. The difference between those who succeed and those who don't isn't just skill, intelligence, or resources. It's mindset. The way you think about challenges, effort, and setbacks dictates what you are capable of. And the hardest thing for most people to realize is that the only true limits in life are the ones they impose on themselves. When you believe something is impossible, your mind stops looking for solutions. It shuts down the creative problem-solving process and convinces you that there's no point in trying. But when you believe something is possible, even if you don't know how yet, your mind starts working in a completely different way. It begins searching for answers, seeing opportunities, and finding ways to push through barriers. The simple shift from "I can't" to "how can I" changes everything. The problem is that most people have conditioned themselves to think small. They've been told their whole lives what they can't do, what's realistic, what's safe. They've been surrounded by people who settled for less, who chose comfort over ambition, who let fear dictate their choices. And because of that, they've internalized the idea that their potential is limited. But the truth is, the only thing holding most people back is the belief that they are limited in the first place. Think about any person who has accomplished something incredible. Whether it's an athlete, an entrepreneur, an artist, or a leader, they all have one thing in common. They refused to accept the limits placed on them by society, by other people, or by their own fears. They weren't necessarily more talented, smarter, or luckier than everyone else. They just believed they could do more, so they acted accordingly. They pushed through failure, ignored doubters, and challenged every assumption about what was possible. And because of that, they achieved what most people only dream about. Your brain is designed to protect you from discomfort, from risk, from uncertainty. That's why the moment you think about doing something big, something different, something outside of your comfort zone, your mind starts making excuses. It tells you you're not ready. It reminds you of every past failure. It convinces you that it's better to stay where it's safe. But the reality is, that voice is lying to you. It's not trying to guide you. It's trying to protect you from growth, because growth is uncomfortable. The most successful people understand this, and they don't let their thoughts control them. Instead of accepting every fear-based idea that crosses their mind, they challenge it. When doubt creeps in, they ask, is this actually true, or is it just fear talking? When their mind tells them they aren't good enough, they remind themselves that skills can be developed, experience can be gained, and failure is just part of the process. They don't let their emotions dictate their actions. They take control of their thoughts, train their minds to be resilient, and condition themselves to push through discomfort instead of running from it. The greatest limitations in life are not external. They are not the economy, the competition, or the circumstances you were born into. They are internal. They exist in the stories you tell yourself, in the excuses you make, in the belief systems you refuse to challenge. The people who rise above their circumstances are the ones who refuse to accept these limitations as facts. They understand that mindset is everything. If you believe you are stuck, you are. If you believe there's a way forward, you'll find one. The moment you take control of your thoughts, you take control of your future. The world is full of people who have overcome massive obstacles, defied expectations, and rewritten the rules for what is possible. They weren't special, they weren't lucky, they simply refused to let their minds put limits on their potential. And because of that, they became unstoppable. Motivation is unreliable. It comes and goes like a wave, rising in moments of inspiration and disappearing when things get difficult. People start projects, set goals, and make promises to themselves when they feel motivated, but when the excitement fades, when the hard work begins, when progress slows down, they stop. They tell themselves they'll start again when they feel ready, when they feel inspired, when the conditions are just right. But waiting for motivation is the reason most people never achieve what they want. The difference between those who succeed and those who don't isn't motivation, it's discipline. Discipline is what keeps you going when motivation disappears. It's what makes you show up even when you don't feel like it. It's what separates those who dream from those who do. The people who achieve greatness in any field don't rely on their feelings to determine their actions. They have trained themselves to do what needs to be done regardless of how they feel. Most people allow their emotions to dictate their behavior. If they don't feel like working out, they skip the gym. If they don't feel like working on their business, they procrastinate. They don't feel like putting in the effort, they make excuses. But emotions are temporary, and if you let them control your actions, you will never be consistent. Discipline means doing what you committed to even when you'd rather do something else. It means keeping the promises you made to yourself long after the excitement that made you set them has worn off. There is nothing glamorous about discipline. It's repetitive, it's uncomfortable, it's often boring. But it works. It's waking up early when you want to sleep in. It's going to the gym when you'd rather stay home. It's choosing to focus when distractions are pulling at you. It's making the hard choices every single day, even when no one is watching, even when no one is applauding your efforts. The people who succeed are not the ones who always feel motivated. They are the ones who show up no matter what. Think about anyone who has achieved something significant. A professional athlete doesn't train only when they feel like it. A best-selling author doesn't write only when inspiration strikes. A successful entrepreneur doesn't work only when it's convenient. They all have something in common. They built habits that override their emotions. They created systems that allow them to keep moving forward even on the days when they don't feel like it. The problem is that most people want the results without the process. They want to be fit without sticking to a workout routine. They want success without putting in the hours. They want financial freedom without making sacrifices. They want the outcome, but they don't want the discipline required to get there. And that's why they stay stuck, waiting for the right moment, waiting for motivation, waiting for some external force to push them forward. But that moment never comes. Discipline is what builds momentum. At first, it's hard. You won't feel like doing the work. You'll want to quit. But the more you push yourself to act despite your feelings, the easier it becomes. Over time, your mind adapts. What once felt like a struggle turns into a habit. What once required willpower becomes automatic. And that's when everything changes. When you no longer need motivation to move forward because you've trained yourself to act regardless of it. The reality is, success is not about doing something once when you feel motivated. It's about doing it repeatedly over weeks, months, and years. It's about showing up day after day through the highs and lows, through the boredom and frustration, through the setbacks and doubts. The people who succeed are not the ones who wait for motivation. They are the ones who master discipline, who take control of their actions, who do the work even when it's hard, even when it's inconvenient, even when no one is cheering them on. Failure is one of the most feared experiences in life. People avoid it at all costs, fearing the embarrassment, disappointment, and pain that come with it. From a young age, society teaches that failure is something negative, something to be ashamed of, something that should be avoided. But in reality, failure is not the opposite of success. It is a necessary part of it. Every person who has achieved greatness has failed, and not just once, but repeatedly. What separates them from everyone else is not that they never failed, but that they refuse to let failure define them. Most people see failure as an endpoint, as proof that they aren't good enough or capable enough. When they fail at something, they take it personally. They see it as a reflection of their worth rather than as a part of the process. Instead of learning from it, they internalize it, allowing it to damage their confidence and discourage them from trying again. This is why so many people quit when things don't go as planned. They assume that if they fail, it must mean they are not meant to succeed. But failure is not a stop sign. It is a lesson, a teacher, a test of perseverance. The most successful people in the world have failed more times than the average person has even tried. Thomas Edison failed thousands of times before inventing the light bulb. Michael Jordan was cut from his high school basketball team. Walt Disney was told he lacked creativity. These people did not allow failure to stop them because they understood one simple truth. Failure is feedback. It is information. It is an opportunity to adjust, to grow, to refine, to improve. Instead of avoiding it, they embraced it. Instead of seeing it as an obstacle, they used it as a stepping stone. The problem is that most people give up too soon. They fail once and assume it means they are not capable. They try something new, face difficulties, and immediately retreat to their comfort zone. They allow fear of failure to paralyze them, preventing them from taking the risks necessary for growth. But failure is not the enemy. The real enemy is refusing to try. The real failure is in giving up. When you fail, you are not starting over from zero. You are starting over with experience. Every setback teaches something. Every mistake provides insight. Every challenge strengthens resilience. But only if you choose to see it that way. The way you respond to failure determines everything. You can either let it break you, or you can let it build you. You can either allow it to discourage you, or you can allow it to fuel you. The choice is always yours. Many people are afraid to take risks because they don't want to fail. They don't start the business because they fear it won't work. They don't chase their dreams because they worry about what others will think if they don't succeed. They stay where it's safe, where they won't have to face the discomfort of falling short. But in doing so, they rob themselves of growth, of opportunity, of the chance to reach their full potential. Because the only way to truly fail is to never try at all. Success is not about avoiding failure. It's about using it. It's about failing forward, about taking the lessons, applying them, and continuing to move ahead. The people who accomplish the most in life are not necessarily the most talented or the smartest. They are simply the ones who refuse to quit. They are the ones who get back up again and again, no matter how many times they fall. They are the ones who understand that failure is not a sign to stop, but a sign to keep going. If you change the way you see failure, you change the way you live your life. Instead of fearing it, you start to embrace it. Instead of avoiding it, you start to seek out challenges that push you beyond your limits. Instead of running from it, you start to learn from it. And when you do that, failure no longer holds power over you. Instead, it becomes the very thing that drives you to succeed.